We are all very happy that we have set the new record. If you recollect, the last year, the second half was also a new record. We have surpassed this. And it's mainly coming from the European renovation market, which is booming. And Saint-Gobain, is very strong, very well positioned in a renovation market. We have close to 50% of our sales come from the renovation market. The second driver is Americas. It's grown significantly. 25% like-for-like growth. Within Americas, you have Latin America and North America. Both are actually booming. The underlying market is very strong, the construction market. And that's where we are pretty well positioned. We are gaining market share in many of these markets. We also, if you recall, we made the acquisition of Continental, which was one of the important acquisition we did in US to strengthen our market position. The integration has went off very well. That is helping us to further strengthen our market position, particularly in the light construction market. So I think this whole drive for sustainability is also helping us because, Saint-Gobain provides a lot of sustainable light construction solutions for the market. And in coming to Asia, China is booming. We had 50% like-for-like growth. It was, again, impressive organic growth. India, first quarter was very good, but the second quarter, it did suffer. The 2 months was challenging, but June is coming back again to a normal level. So all in all, for Saint-Gobain, we have a great story. I would say also that, the deep transformation which we did in the last during the last 2.5 years, we are seeing that impact very visible now. Clearly, Saint-Gobain's profitability and growth profile has improved as compared to the past. And I'm personally very excited about the trend. I'm excited about the potential we have to deliver in this market.
Let me ask you for a little more detail on the renovation market in Europe. Sounds like that's been a key driver for your business. And with many people stuck at home over the last year, no surprise they concentrated on renovating their homes. But now as restrictions are lifted across the continent, are you starting to see changes in behavior and perhaps even some negative momentum in that part of your business?
No, if you look at the order book, it is still, it's overflowing. It is very strong. The underlying trends are very strong. You have to just keep in mind that the renovation is not just driven because there was a COVID and then the people were having time, they got it renovated. It's one of the drivers. But the other thing which you have to keep in mind is many of this renovation is directly linked with energy efficiency. And energy efficiency is going to be the big driving force. The European Union level, everybody is looking at pushing the targets much more stringent to move towards more and more greener economy. If you just see the emission of CO2, the construction industry is one of the biggest contributor. The 40% of the emission is coming from construction. So, and then if you look at the existing buildings within Europe, more than 70% of the buildings needs to be renovated if we have to make progress to this carbon neutral objectives, which European Union has taken it very seriously. So for us, Saint-Gobain, if you look at Saint-Gobain solution, 70% of Saint-Gobain solution is directly linked to the sustainable solutions. So that also puts Saint-Gobain in a very good, strong position because, when we talk about ESG, for Saint-Gobain, the ESG is an integral part of the growth strategy of Saint-Gobain. And that's where we are positioning to see how we can contribute to this carbon neutrality in a big way.
Certainly, you've fleshed out for us the positives there on the demand side of things, but I think one of the key questions for investors, one of the challenges that they're looking at closely now is on the supply side and in your sector specifically within construction. So what are you seeing in terms of supply chain challenges and raw material cost inflation?
Yeah. It's a very good question because the supply chain has been challenging. It was an absolutely hand-to-mouth situation, but I would give a lot of credit to the team being absolutely hands-on, trying to make sure that the customer is given the topmost priority. We did manage well, even though it was not easy. So the supply chain remains a challenge. It's just that the organization is agile, so we have been able to cope up. So coming to the inflation point, what you're saying, it is certainly it is accelerating. When you look at what you have seen in the last 3 months, the inflation has been extremely high. But the good story in that is that, again, Saint-Gobain business leaders have been extremely proactive in pushing the prices up. For the last 12 months, if you take, we have a price cost spread, positive spread of 235 million. It's an absolutely mind-boggling price cost spread. So this has happened because we have been proactive, hands-on, looking into the market, get into the details, and make sure that wherever we have an opportunity to push the prices up, we did successfully, and we continue to remain focused on price.